your favorite leftist gaming channel. I am joined by Mike today to do a little one of these reactionary videos where we're talking about
special news flash, wee Pokemon games.
And of course, I could not manage to rope any of the other two to join us as well. They have long since washed their hands of Pokemon, and I'm being magnanimous here, and I'm sitting down to talk with Mike, our resident Pokemon head, to talk about the great game-breaking, earth-shattering news that was dropped. That was dropped on 2 days ago at the time of recording, on the 27th of February, World Pokemon Day.
Yes.
God.
The news, though,
help me now, save me.
The world-shattering news portion of it, I think it was a little more esoteric than what the Pokemon presented to us. But I'll let you kick it off with the.
Well, you say that, right? And like, I watched the Pokemon Presents presentation, right? I didn't tune into anything else in terms of what they did on the day or special events that they may have done or whatever. But just like, I've said this to you now multiple times, like prepping for this segment, I was like, both watching the video, like watching like the presentation, and then things that you've sent me, they literally might as well just be speaking Japanese to me. It's just, as like an outsider, well, in many cases they were actually speaking Japanese, but the translation might as well have been cut out completely, just because it's just, as like, I'll call it like a lay person, a normie, a non-committed
casual.
I'm aware of Pokemon, right? And like, I've played in the past, and I've played even for the podcast. I'm just like, what are these things that they're saying, and why would I care that these things are only important to the most diehard of diehards?
Yeah, and so that's for sure true. And part of it, I think the earth-shattering part of it that is understood by the diehards, and even I'm a diehard, but I'm not in the competitive scene,
something like that. Yeah.
But like, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of what goes on in it, and aware of leaks within like the Pokemon community at large, and like rumors and things like that have been going on for years. That this kind of was in a way, a culmination of some of those. And they're obviously like kind of cryptic in what they show you. That you're not getting the full thing in these Pokemon Presents, both referring to champions and Z to A, and what they mean for like the greater Pokemon, like,
ecosystem.
Ecosystem and longevity.
To be fair about my initial feeling about watching this, is like, this is not for me type of thing. Like all this is going over my head. It's like, to be fair, the target audience for something like a Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents, are the diehards, right? This is for them. A casual is not really tuning into.
Yeah, and like a child isn't either.
Yeah. So I got to be fair there.
Even though like a child is not necessarily tuning into these presents, like they're presented in a childlike manner in a way, and like to a child audience, and they're very cryptic again in what they give you. It's like these little snippets, and it's just PR language translated from Japanese to English. But yeah, I think the ramifications of this, if like my theory at least is true, like definitely will hopefully make the games better and like have an effect for casuals like you. So if I make us play the games again, it's not as hard. But so let's jump into we'll save the bigger conversation for the back end. Let's jump into some of the
there are a few things to run through. Some even smaller ones I think we'll completely skip over, like the Pokemon Unite, right? That's like the MOBA style.
Yeah, that was just like
arena thing.
Yeah, they got new characters and like a new battle form where you just
don't care. I'll start with the one that like I will actually be positive on. It's probably the only one that I would really be positive on. Is the new episodes for the show Pokemon Concierge, which I'll admit I haven't watched any of. They put out like the first 4 episodes. I don't know if they call that a season or not,
Yeah, they're on
in like
YouTube.
December of like 2023. Oh, if they're online, I might check them
They're
out.
on YouTube now. That's what they said in the presents was
Right,
the first four are on
completely.
YouTube for till like March 9th or something.
Okay. Well, so new episodes are dropping in September of this year, and it's this cute little cozy type of show. But I'm a sucker for stop motion animation, right? So that more than anything else I would have ever seen throughout the presentation shows a level of care. So something like stop motion takes so much effort and work that like immediately it jumps up the quality bar because just out of necessity, it has to be handled well.
And it was cool that they showed some of the like behind the scenes
Yeah,
of
like
it.
the
It'd be
original
really
test
cool.
footage and
It'd be cool if they had like a behind the scenes like documentary or something. I would love to see them like actually doing the stop motion.
yeah, but I've always been a sucker for stop motion, so that's a potential contender for some adaptation viewing that also seems low stakes. Four maybe four more, so like 8 total episodes. That's not bad. But yeah, a cute little idea. It made me think of like it's really been surprising to me that they haven't done either like an official collab or handed over a spin-off game to the Animal Crossing devs to make a Animal Crossing Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Just those kind of cozy vibes, because that's what it gets. That's what it screams to me, is like this is you're the
Yeah, you're a
concierge at this
concierge.
little
Yeah.
hotel. You're dealing with trainers and their Pokemon and their Pokemon partners, and just going about a cozy kind of management style thing.
Yeah.
Which again, not the crossover of two games that I do not like or play, but I could see it selling gangbusters type of thing. I just had that thought as I was watching. It's like Pokemon Animal Crossing, the TV show,
Yeah,
in
even if they
beautiful
did
stop
it as
motion
like
animation.
a mobile game or some
It's yeah,
shit.
it's surprising that like two of their most lucrative properties that they have not done any kind of cross pollination there. Yeah, okay, so that's cool. That's the one that I actually have the most interest in.
Yeah, so this next one, I have the same thoughts. What the actual fuck?
What is Pokemon Sleep? It's been out for a while now. How does it work? What is it? Why are they teasing like boss battles?
Yeah, which in the nightmare Pokemon and the like normal dream Pokemon. So like can Pokemon Sleep force nightmares on you?
Are you going
is what I want to know.
Are you going to have a demonic Pokemon sleep paralysis demon?
Like, yeah, is it gonna somehow feed into the 5G chip that's in your neck? Like, and take over your body? Like what the fuck is going on? That was crazy to me.
I don't like the idea, although I make this joke to I made the joke, I think, to Matt when Nintendo put out the Alarmo alarm clock thing. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna pay money to have this thing videotape me while I sleep, to have somebody in Nintendo HQ jacking off the entire time
in their pod.
I was like Googling, how does sleep work? And it's literally, it says you have to put your phone by your pillow.
Yes. Yeah.
So my question is like,
That
exactly how close does it have to be? And it is monitoring you visually, basically. It's recording you while you sleep, gathering your sleep data. It is able to determine when you're going into REM sleep, when you're in the deep cycles, because then it's like
and there's other apps on your
different
phone
levels
that do that.
Yeah, Matt's response was always like, yeah, no, you just paid money to have your cell phone be recording everything you say and sending your analytic data to Google or Amazon, right?
Well, I'm not even that, but just like there's actual like sleep apps,
trackers. Yeah, but then there's like plenty of ones
shit.
that's like that I would think are the more effective ones are like, you've got a Fitbit or something, you've got a wearable thing that like, yes, is connected to an app on your phone, but is a physical thing on your body that's like checking your pulse and your blood oxygen and all these things that are doable. This like how much bullshit is involved in that? How much security does it take to make sure that data is not being mishandled in some way? But then it's like, yeah, what the fuck? What is the actual gamification of it? Right? Like you depending on your,
what I don't understand.
So you have this big Snorlax as your like center thing, and it like craves food or something, and I don't know exactly how you get food, but when you like wake up, depending on your sleep score and like how much you fell into like the 3 different sleep types based on the level of sleep, and they call it like snoozing, dozing, and
Snorlaxing.
slumbering.
It should have been Snorlaxing. That one of them should have been Snorlaxing. What the fuck? Missed opportunity.
And it's like you get like it populates, think of it, it's kind of like AR-ish, like Pokemon Go, that like it then populates Pokemon of the same sleep type depending on it. And but then it's like, as I was looking into it, I'm like, it just, the explanation just stops there, and I'm like, so do you just collect the Pokemon?
Yeah, I think you're like able to like catch them.
Can those Pokemon then be sent to something like Pokemon Home, and then
no, I don't think Sleep is connected to Home.
Used somewhere else? Then it's like, what else is it's
just another Mon collect. And I guess if you have a bad dream that night, you get fucking Darkrai, and if you have a good dream, you get Cresselia.
I don't know. I just don't get it. And like people are saying, like, yeah, it's gamified my sleep in a very low stakes way. That for me is a not. I was reading a review on like some like it was on a lifestyle magazine.
No, those are like real people, but they're bots.
Yeah, you know they're like, I'm not a gamer at all, so this was perfect for me. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
All right, well, let's move on from this, because it's.
I'm just like, how does a boss fight work? What the fuck? I don't get it.
I don't care.
I don't get it.
Move on, because the next one I don't care about either.
Pokemon TCG Pocket gets a ranked mode and a new booster set that contains the God Pokemon Arceus,
and Mega Evolutions coming.
There was something else I saw. I put down somewhere. It's like, what are Mega Evolutions and why should I care?
That's down at the bottom.
Because that was a theme. There's multiple like Mega Evolutions are being applied in multiple.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Games now.
So the reason that Mega Evolutions are a thing now is because Generation 5, which is what ZA is, a shoot off of, introduced Mega Evolutions. I believe it was that one, right? Maybe it's
the only ones that I know that I know the name of, that I still don't know what it does, is Gigantamax.
Yeah, no, that's Sword and Shield. But yeah, so it's like they were introduced, I believe, in this region. So they because we're getting Z to A, and Mega Evolutions are then coming back because of that.
Because I did read somewhere where it's like Z to A is like, it's a return to this region.
Yeah, which is the region after the Sinnoh region, which was Arceus was 4, and this is 5, I believe. And if I'm wrong, because I'm rusty on these things, attack me in the comments, Pokemon heads. Just go for it. It's engagement. We love it, folks.
You're not a real Pokemon stan. You can't list off every single Pokemon by breedability.
But so I hate this pocket shit, because it's just like more fucking microtransaction card bullshit. Like,
well, the whole app itself is fucking wild to me. I mean, I'm an enjoyer of things like Magic the Gathering Arena, which has its own problems and is not great. But then Pokemon TCG is a relatively new release. It's like within a year. It's blew up in popularity, made millions of dollars off the bat. And then they implemented a month ago, or maybe a little bit more, they implemented the actual trading function, which is hilarious. The funny joke that people were making, where it's like, they need to take the T out of the TCG part of the game title, because trading is just, completely impossible. And it was just this super predatory way of going about it, where you either had to spend excessive amounts of real world money to get, you had to farm or purchase a particular resource in order to trade cards of certain rarities. And the way to one way to trade a rarity is to delete more of another rarity, or either high. I forget if it was higher or lower. But it's just you have to delete cards from your collection in order to get one of the currency things needed to make a trade. And so the developers were like, oh, we did this to try to keep people from abusing it, but we did bad. We'll fix it or whatever. Again, just it's emblematic of the sickness that's within the Pokemon hobby, both in terms of its development and its consumption. Whereas people were rightfully pissed off and up in arms about it. But then it's just any bit of complaint about it has completely evaporated. I didn't hear anybody talk about that beyond like the first couple of days, and it's still, I think, raking in millions of dollars.
And I have a theory why. They did a better job with the pack opening process.
The pack opening animation is good, where you literally rip the
swipe
the off.
And it's a good animation. That's what's getting the people. I'm telling you.
You are 100% right, because that is one thing that I have heard consistently is people's like, I love just logging in and opening up my daily pack.
It looks so satisfying, and I'm staying away. Like, I don't even look at the reels when people like show them, because they do pop up on my thing, and I'm just like, nope, we're moving along. Don't get caught, Mike.
Too much dopamine. Too much dopamine is a bad thing.
Yeah, that's predatory dopamine. We don't want that. We don't need another one of those, Mike.
All right, so speaking of predatory dopamine, though, what's going on with Pokemon Go?
Well, I put Pokemon Go on the list because, just because Matt was like, he was saying that Pokemon heads were like, cope this, cope that the Pokemon Presents was going to show Z to A and all this stuff. Well, Matt occasionally plays Pokemon Go. He probably hadn't logged in a long time, or recently, but I play Pokemon Go pretty frequently. I walk around at work on my lunch break. I'm in Midtown Manhattan. There's a lot of...
You're in populated centers that will have a lot of
shit. So this they announced it like a month ago that they were doing a Unova region, which is where Z to A takes place, like big tour and lead up that was like culminating on the day of the fucking Pokemon Presents. Like that was where like the big, they do all the legendaries and stuff. So that's all I want to say is that it wasn't
vindication. Is sweet. Sweet like nectar.
It was clear that was what they were doing. Their marketing team was doing vertical alignment and vertical integration with their advertising. That's all I want to say. And now we can move on. Let me take a sip to the new state of Pokemon.
All right, I'll cede the floor to you because these are the bigger things, and you need to like explain to me why like the fans, the real fans, the real heads, why they're super psyched, what they are, in my opinion, reading way too much into and getting way too hyped over. And then what would be appealing to me as an extremely disenchanted casual.
Okay. So I'm going to try to explain all of Pokemon, or all the Pokemon companies, he's going to
download all of Pokemon lore into my brain in the next, 30 seconds.
Not even lore. This is business.
Okay.
We saw Pokemon go after Pal World for the ball catching mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't go after Mon's ball catching mechanic and other mechanics that we didn't necessarily know exactly what they were. There's like a lot of speculation because the shit was in fucking Japanese or whatever, and the Japanese legal system's weird. There has been a long running community. This is the lore, this is more of the lore, and it's gamer lore. There's a long running community of real hacked Mons. So there's a program that you could download that could create Mons with whatever stats you want, whatever ribbons, items, whatever. And there's a whole set of Discord channels where dudes that have a old school Switch.
So many red flags already. There are secret Discord channels.
They're not secret, though.
Where they're creating their own monsters. They're literally doing furry pedophilia shit with their...
No. It's the regular Mons.
They're doing Pizzagate with the Pokemons.
It's like Mons that you could get in game, but you're just picking the stats and like making it the perfect. Essentially, you're making a competitive Mon. No, you're making a competitive.
But yet you can use in other.
Yes. So they are legal.
You earned it. You haven't done the grinding.
They're legal Mons that you put in the stats, the moves, whatever. Discord person, it gets like sent in a trade. And there's like and so it's
Are they laundering their illegal Pokemon?
They might be laundering. sometimes you pay for like a Patreon subscription for some of them, or like that's how you get like higher in line for the trades or whatever. But so the reason this works is people that have first gen Switches, like first release, the ones that could be like hacked, and like they could strip it and to put it on their computer, on their emulator to emulate like their actual Switch, that they somehow stopped you from being able to do in the later releases. So that's how they could then pump it through. It's called Poca Hex is the program that you can make them on, and that's how it gets into like the Switch network to be able to trade it. Okay. So that's there has been rumors for a while that Pokemon was going, and it was like based on like a hacked source code in Pokemon Home, that they were looking at implementing something like that within Pokemon Home. Okay, now we get to Pokemon Presents. We get this new game, Pokemon Champions, which basically, oh, hold on. We're going to rewind. There's also an online community of like competitive, players that also are in the competitive, true competitive sphere, and just like also fucking grimy, sweaty nerd, Discord probably competitive scene where you just create your mons there, and it's not even like true animation. It's like just kind of like still.
It's just JPEGs. It's just JPEGs.
Yeah. And
Pikachu JPEG.
And it has all sorts of like different competitive rule sets and things where you could use megas and terrestrialize Pokemon and Z-move, and you could like use everything. So that it was like really popular. So there was rumors that in Pokemon Home there was going to be something like the Pokehex and potentially make the competitive scene more like this like Discord competitive scene. Okay, so we get to Champions. Champions is just what that website is in like the Discord competitive. I can't remember the name of the website, but within that scene. There seemed to be in that trailer that there's going to be a feature of not only being able to bring all your Pokemon from Pokemon Home and be able to use them in Champions.
I'm pretty sure they said that part. That like
they did that. That was.
Yeah.
But there was going to be a rental feature. So in Stadium, there was a rental feature, and it was just like preset mons, with preset moves and things. But given all of those leaks and the rumors going on forever that they were going to create something more like the Pokehex and this website, people are saying, and I think it would be true, that you could just create mons in there for the competitive format, and Champions is going to become the new competitive standalone.
You sent me this video earlier today, and it was like talking about how there's this, they see this pro factor in that, like, I guess maybe standardizing it is, I guess, the right word, maybe not, I don't know, but just that bringing or making Champions the sole site of like competitive things will help with balancing and all these things. But then he's talking,
I don't.
But then he's like talking about like how like, yeah, you can bring in, you can like bring all these things in, you can do all this and all that, and I'm just like, that sounds incredibly unbalanced to me. And
yeah. Well, so you could bring those things in, but it was going to be like separate battle leagues where like that, like you could only use those and like one of those, and another league where you can only use one of those. But that we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of the actual competitive. That's not what is important here. What's important here is it's a fork in the road for Pokemon. It's with Champions being the competitive, sweaty Pokemon that you don't need to, in the new game, don't necessarily need to play the story and play the, go through all the gyms or whatever bullshit to get the mons from that generation to play in the competitive. You could just create them in Champions, and it just exists. You could just exist in the competitive Champions world. You don't
okay, I get it. I get what you're saying now, which didn't fully click with me when I was trying to like parse this morning. I get that, and I understand that. And to me, what that seems like is that like, let's remove a little bit of the toxicity from the kind of casual gameplay experience. So my question, I guess, is then to how it had been. How did that kind of competitive aspect hurt the casual player? How did that have a knock-on impact to non-competitive players having it in the same?
So it was locked by the story progression to get into the competitive. It was like a certain number of gyms, but then you also didn't have access to all the Pokemon that are potentially in the game. You have to finish the game. And then competitive is like, there is in the online feature of the game, you go there and there's like competitive seasons in there. But the story in like the game, like the DLC, the event, like in-game events and things like that tended to be catered to those in the competitive, because that's really the only thing that it could potentially feed for it moving forward, was feeding that competitive, like giving you more mons with more drops of different items that you could use to change abilities and things that like a casual person might not necessarily care as much about, but you care about being able to change the abilities and get different items that change the EV stats and the IV stats and change natures, and all that was what the events were in.
Get the idea, but the specifics are making my mind go numb.
Yeah. So everything for Scarlet and Violet, everything post-launch has essentially been to feed the competitive community, like the ability to battle in the competitive leagues. And the gameplay, with it being a competition, you know, the gym league still in Scarlet and Violet, essentially building from like that as your base, that it's a Pokemon is a competitive thing where your story progression is based on beating this gym league, and then the competitive aspect, the online competitive aspect, as like the larger version of that.
Okay, so as then like a transition into like the Z to A trailer and information that was dropped, how would this kind of bifurcation of the casual and competitive scene, how are people speculating that will impact end game? It's basically it's game design priorities, right? Is that they're able to but will Game Freak actually
they already
offer meaningful content that is more geared towards a non-competitive player? And what does that look like?
So Legends Arceus is the basis for this. Yes, the graphics and things are doo-doo. I'll talk about why I think that I
personally think from what I saw here, it was just the environments look trash.
Yeah. So, but the mons in the battle, fucking like the fire and the water and whatever, look pretty good, I think. But so
I'm not even like talking necessarily graphics. You know, I don't care about. I'm not expecting a Pokemon game to have photorealistic graphics or something like that. It's more like it's like the environment design. The areas just look very bland and boring, don't look fun to explore. This particular point that I do not get was they have these wild zones, right? Where it's like it's all about how this city is about, trying to be the culmination of humans and Pokemon living side by side. And so they have set off these wild zones to have.
So
but they're literally just abandoned city blocks. Like in my mind, and they could keep them small in scope, like in order to like help with, make them not graphically intense or anything like that. But like make them like little parks, inside it. Like my mind goes hold on. Do you know the movie Zootopia?
Yes.
And so you know how it's like the city is like split into like the quadrants of like the different biomes. Why do they not do something like that where you have a forest biome, you have
they already
did
biome. They already did that in Scarlet and Violet in the DLC.
Small.
They already did it. They already did it small. They already did it small in the DLC. The Blueberry Academy already has that unlocked. That's been done. So a few things on that. We didn't see all of the wild areas. We don't know what they're all going to be. There are some patches. They showed a map, and like there are
just an abandoned city block with like a rusted out car.
Okay, and so
in the background.
Part of the story is that it's in the process of creating this
If
symbiotic.
I was being charitable, I was going to say like, oh, that looks like they're trying to make it like a man-made reef type of thing, where it's like you sink like a shell of a
Yeah.
car and let
Yeah, they do that with
things build
subways,
off
old
of it.
subway cars. But yeah, that's like essentially what's happening. It's in the process of that. And
Right. Okay.
there's and like the story is that this corporation is like the one that's doing it. Uh,
What do you think? What do you think the story is going to be? Do you think the corporation is going to be good or bad
the
guys?
bad guy. They're going to be the
Okay,
bad guys. And
they
there's
definitely look that way.
that old guy that's like 1,000 years old, 900 years old or whatever, and is fucking 9 feet tall. He's in the old game, in like the original game, and he's like old in that as well. And like he plays so he's gonna essentially be the like good guy, and like you'll probably be helping the corporation, but I think like be mentored in some way by him, and realize the corporation's bad. But getting to that point, there you have it, at least in the spin-offs, completely getting rid of. There was no mention of like a gym system. Like you probably have some like unlocking mechanism to unlock the different wild areas as
Well,
like a
yes, that's how they did
progression.
it in Arceus, right? Was that like
But
you
there
had to like
was also
raise
the
your
battles. There was those battles with
the
I forget what they
lords,
call,
the
yeah, like
lord,
the
I think
Lord
the
Pokemon or
Pokemon
whatever.
lords, yeah.
Like, so that was part of the progression of those areas. I don't think that you're going to have that there necessarily. Maybe there will be, but it like there was also tied to like the different clans and shit that they had control of those. And so it had to do, there was still like some conflict there. I don't think the conflict is going to come out of like physical conflict like that. I think it's going to be more story conflict of this evil corporation and AZ, the old guy. But it just so there is the reason why I think taking competitive out of the main games is important, because it allows them to like actually play with the story, and then as well as that is the battle mechanics, which you don't have to make it the straight up stadium competitive style battle or the gym style battle that is the standard in Pokemon. You're able to do some funky things with it. You're able to have the character just like sneak up on Pokemon and throw the ball, which is still going to be a mechanic, it seems, in Z to A. But if you watch the trailer for that, and they even say it, the moves have like AoE, they have different you have to like aim them in different timing.
I didn't know if they said that they had cooldowns or things like that, but it seems that it definitely has this introduction of these real-time elements in terms of
Yes.
like you're moving around and being able to like I think calling it a dot, saying that you're able to dodge attacks is being a little bit generous, but like you're able to try to move around attacks and
Yeah, and you're also able to switch out your Pokemon at like as an attack is incoming to like dodge it and then throw one out after and like
I'd
shit
say
like
there's
that.
maybe not enough shown to see like how that would play, but to me, I liked the idea. The execution looked bare bones to me. I don't know, I guess clunky is the
Well, I mean,
only way I could describe it.
it is only the second attempt at it, and we do know that I'd like to think now Game Freak as like they're just constantly throwing drafts out type thing, and they're figure what we're releasing one each year. We'll just continue to figure it out and
Yeah, I
build
guess
on it.
it's the release schedule that really kind of harms it, because
Yeah.
this company is ridiculously profitable, has all the money it could ever need to make a game as advanced and as groundbreaking as the hardware can handle, yet they fail to do so continually. I had in my mind what would be kind of cool, and like that this is like maybe getting close to there, but I don't think it would be exactly as I had this idea of like kind of like making it, you don't have the point of reference, but making it almost like a Xenoblade type combat at the very base, where where positioning is important. You're moving around, you can try to avoid attacks, and Xenoblade is a little bit tricky with that. Avoiding is not really a thing. Avoiding attacks is really stat based. It's like, does the attack miss because your
Well,
dodge is so high?
But so I
that's a
think
little
that will
different.
be part of this,
But
because
that's not
you
one of the
still
ones that I like. I would prefer the I'm physically moving away from the attack and that,
yeah.
and it's more
I think
skill based.
I think it's going to be a combination of that, because you always do have the speed stat, which is what goes up against the accuracy of an attack. That's like your evasiveness is your speed.
So,
Speed
but
and something else, I think.
what I would like to see is it basically be like you're doing like to have positioning matter that you can like kind of quote unquote dodge outside of attacks, but then also basically you would have like an auto attack feature that like they're constantly doing just like a regular kind of attack, and then you have moves on like cooldowns
Mm-hmm.
that you are then trying to it brings the skills floor up a little bit, whereas you are and you can like string attacks together in certain ways to get certain effects. And I would like to see something like that, because that is an interesting blend to me of real time and kind of turn
Okay.
based in interesting ways. It would be
So
my touchstone is Xenoblade, and I would be interested to potentially see something.
there is a chance that that happens here. And here's the reasons why. Introduced in this generation are these 3 moves, Water Pledge, Fire Pledge, Grass Pledge, that in double battles, if your Pokemon both use one of those 3 moves, it like combines for like a special move or like a higher damage. And in the fucking like JPEG animations, it's just like more sparkly or whatever. They show a Pokemon using that Fire Pledge in the trailer. So there is a chance in like double battle scenarios where using that, they like further boost that move or make it better looking. And there are other moves that work like that. There is a chance for that. It looks like there may be like one attack that is your like quick kind of attack that doesn't have a cooldown, and then others that have cooldowns and may have like a longer cooldown, because there wasn't there wasn't PP like there normally is in Pokemon. And also like on the Megas, which I'll explain why Megas are fancy and why you should care, but like on the Megas had a cooldown for how long your Mega evolved. So there's a very good chance that like some of those elements that you're speaking of from Xenoblade are incorporated to this and execution. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like there is a strong chance that a lot of those things are being incorporated. Another reason why the competitive being taken out is important. So they'll just quickly back to that, and then I'll get to Megas. It's likely that Scarlet and Violet will still be the competitive for like the 2025 competitive. 2026 and onward, it's speculated that Champions, like that's the like true competitive league will completely be there, all competitive in that format. Now to Megas. Megas were just like a gimmick introduced in this region where you, based on like your special Mega Ring, it reacts with a stone that certain Pokemon can hold, and they could like do a next state. They could go Super Saiyan, and they get an additional 100 base stat points that are distributed various ways. They get extra typing sometimes. They'll get a typing change, and then they just get a cooler like Super Saiyan look, and that's why they're cool. That's why you should care. They're just cool and better.
You can appreciate the rule of cool. That's fine.
Yeah,
I could get that.
like the
For me,
Mons look cool.
it was less about how they. My confusion was more about in things like Pokemon Go, or not Pokemon Go, in like the card game, the TCG Pocket. I'm like,
I have no clue how that works.
yeah, I'm just like,
no
why would I
Pokemon
care?
trading card works?
It's like, I don't get why that's such a They're making it seem like that's such a big deal by the fact that it's across all these different game types.
And that's again just because the meta of it being in the region it was introduced.
Yeah, okay. Last thing I want to end on is, what do you think of those starters? I don't follow. I think just by watching the fucking YouTube video, my algorithm has gotten fucked up, because I've been getting a lot of memes on people in like the 3 Chikorita fans, clap in unison as revealed as one of the starters.
So Tepig is a starter that's from that generation. I'm kind of pissed that they had one from that's like native to that generation in there. They didn't do that in Arceus. Arceus was all completely from different generations. This one is just one from the Unova region, and then the 2 from Johto. Why Chikorita matters is Chikorita is one of the worst starter Pokemon, and it sucks. No one ever picks it. Why would you ever pick it? It's got doo-doo stats. The Mon doesn't look bad. Like, Meganium's not bad looking. It's final evolution, but just like, it sucks. Its move base is doo-doo trash. Like, it's just not good. And you have Feraligatr and Typhlosion as the other 2 choices. You're crazy to not pick one of those. Feraligator's fucking dope. So that's why Totodile matters. Like,
I feel like I feel like everyone's just saying, like, yeah, everyone's gonna pick Totodile because
yes,
that's like the
clear option. Unless, so it's likely that these Mons aren't gonna evolve into their normal states, because that's not what happened in Arceus. And this is another legend, so it's speculated that they're gonna have different evolutions. Meganium in all of the hacked ROMs, all of them, and this is another reason, Pokemon watching, I think they're gonna make, and there's evidence in the trailer because Chikorita uses a fairy type move, they're gonna make Meganium Grass Fairy, which all of the hacked ROMs do, to give Meganium a buff and like actually make it a good Mon.
A viable pick.
Yeah. And then, so it's likely Feraligatr, his evolution will probably be, if anything, I hope to God they do this right, and it's Water Dragon. I don't know what Tepig's final is going to be. It originally is Firefighting, and goddamn if they give us another Firefighting, I will be angry.
I know nothing about them, but I could even tell it's like, yeah, those look, I know nothing about, Chikorita or Tepig, but I'm like, yeah, I would go with the cool little alligator one.
Always. Totodile is fucking awesome. Totodile and Charmander, neck and neck. If you weren't picking those, what are you doing with your life?
I was a Squirtle fan.
And Squirtle and Typhlosion equally have, other than Typhlosion's transgressions, we can't, the sins of the father not begot on the son.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much for this little bit of lore dumping and why I should care about Pokemon again. Basically, the outcome is I still kind of don't.
Yeah.
That's
what I figured.
I'm less negative than I was going into this. I can see potentially some value in. I mean, I was like potentially interested in the Pokemon Champions thing, in the fact that like Stadium is fun. It's
and it's
super casual, and
if they do it right, it's hopefully going to have a more arcadey mode to it, where it could be like,
yeah, that sounds pretty.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't they? Because they're trying to market more than just it being the competitive forum, the competitive game of choice.
Yeah, I don't think it could survive without having some type of kind of casual adoption as well.
Yeah,
and some other way to monetize it. All right, folks, that'll do it for us today for this little reactionary mini pod. At this rate, not so mini pod, but maybe with some editing, it'll go down a little bit. But I think you can pay attention we'll see. Check out the Patreon for some written content, social medias for all sorts of clips and snippets of little bits of content. And then next week, I think after the release of this video, we will be convening with the whole group to talk about Matt's monthly pick of choice, talking about Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Hopefully Mike doesn't break his TV by throwing his controller at it.
Let the rage flow through you and let it pass over and through you.
It's tough trying to play it on weekdays.
Yeah. All right, gang. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.